Good day. My name is Louis Hubble. I'm the chef of Polcari's and Pizzeria Regina. Today what we're going to be featuring is we're going to do an Italian stuffed leg of lamb with prosciutto. It has a little bit of cheese in it. It'll have fresh herbs, all rolled up in extra virgin olive oil, roasted in the oven. We're going to serve that with two sides. A Lyonnaise potatoes that we layer with caramelized onions and a little bit of cheese, salt and pepper. And we're going to also feature Maine's Best Beauty pearl tomatoes that I'm going to stuff with ricotta cheese, pesto, and a hint of mint and roast in the oven. They'll be fabulous. Easy recipes, easy to do. Very common today at the big box stores and at most of the grocery stores, you can find a netted lamb leg. That's what you want to do. What a netted lamb leg indicates is there are no bones in it. The butcher has gone in, taken the bones out, and put the entire thing in a net. What we're going to show you how to do is how to take that one step further. A note at the beginning, if you know how to make a butcher's knot, and you can do a butcher's knot well, then you don't need to use the net again. If you don't know how to use the butcher's knot, save the net, because we're going to need it. So the first thing you're going to do is, when you get the lamb, it's going to be completely encased in its normal fat covering. What we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to take off a little bit of that fat covering so that it's all nice and most of the fat is gone. The next thing that's going to happen is when you turn it over so the fat side is down, you're going to notice that it opens up, which is normal. It also is going to have two flaps, one on this end and one on this end. We're going to take those off and we're going to reserve them. What this is the end that the shank is on, and it has a lot of tendons in it that we don't want to use. So we're going to reserve that for later. The next thing you're going to do once you get this is you'll notice that on a leg, and every leg is exactly the same. A leg of lamb is built the same way as a leg of veal, that's built the same way as a leg of a cow, just in much larger proportions. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this lay flat. Okay? So what we did was we took our knife and we cut along the large knuckle of meat on the left, and we just let that lay over. Then we take on the knuckle of meat on the top. You're almost going around like in a daisy. Then you go to the next knuckle of meat on this side, and we're going to lay it down flat. And this knuckle, and finally the one in the middle. And what you end up with is what looks like a nice flat square of lamb. That's what you want. It's nice and easy to do. And what we're going to do is we're going to season and stuff this lamb. We're going to stuff it with mint, basil, a little bit of garlic, prosciutto, and provolone cheese. So the first thing we're going to put on is our herbs. That's what we're going to do first. The first one is basil. And you just want to rough chop the basil. This is all going to be on the inside. Nobody is going to see it. And we're just going to sprinkle that all over the lamb. The next thing we're going to season this with is fresh mint. If you grow mint, fresh mint out of the garden is great. If you don't, regular mint, not so much spearmint. Spearmint has a much tougher flavor. We're going to put mint all over the inside of the lamb. The next thing we have to put on is garlic. And there's absolutely no way you can have lamb without garlic. The easiest way is to smash your garlic clove and rough chop it. Again, you don't have to be too critical with the cuts. It doesn't really matter because all this is going to be rolled up inside the lamb. I'm spreading it out evenly. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to put some lemon juice on it. I put some lemon juice on the inside and some lemon juice on the outside. It gives it a little bit of acidity. Lamb has obviously a very strong texture. The interesting thing about lemons is there's two ways to extract a lot of juice out of a lemon. If they're fairly ripe like this one is, if you just roll it under your palm, it'll break up the inside of the lemon and you get a lot of juice. If you get a lemon that's not quite ripe enough and it's really, really hard, if you put it in your microwave for about 30 seconds, no more than 30 seconds or it'll explode, you put it in for 30 seconds and you're going to get a really nice juicy lemon. Lemon juice all over the inside of the lamb. Very nice. Now we're going to do some layering. The first thing we're going to put on is prosciutto. You can get prosciutto at just about any grocery store now. You want a relatively nice quality prosciutto, and you really want it as thinly sliced as possible. You're going to layer the prosciutto all over the inside of the lamb, and you can double it up in the center. All set. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a layer of provolone cheese. I like provolone cheese. If you would prefer to use another type of cheese, that's fine. I would avoid really soft cheeses like ricotta. It's done. There is lamb stuffed with ricotta. To me, it's just a little bit soupy, and I don't care for it as much. We're all set. The last thing we're going to put on is fire roasted red peppers. You can do these fresh yourselves if you want. You can buy them in a can. They sell them everywhere. It's either under the name pimento, which is fine, or under fire roasted red pepper in the Italian section. You're going to put that all over the center of the lamb in one layer. And the next part is the part that gets a little bit tricky. What we're going to do is we're going to roll the lamb back up. You want to start on the outside and just roll it like a jelly roll until it's all back together again. So now, once it's all set, at this point, here's the point where if you know how to make a butcher's knot, you just make butcher's knots all the way down. If you don't know how to make a butcher's knot, you should have saved, like we discussed, the net that goes on the lamb. This is the part that gets a little bit tricky because it'll take a second to do, and we're going to take and we're going to put the net back on the lamb. Easiest to start with the smallest end first. And you want to pull as much of the net forward as you move down the lamb as possible. Once you get it started on the top, then you get it started on the bottom. And keep pulling and drawing the net toward you. You want to draw as much of the net forward as you can. Beautiful. Once the net's back on the lamb is being held in place, you're all set. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to take, and I'm going to put a drizzle of lemon juice over the outside. Rub it in, no seeds. Massage it into the outside of the meat. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to put on a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. This will help crisp the outside. We'll put a little bit of salt and pepper on it once it goes into the saute pan, but what you're going to do is you're going to take a pan that's large enough to accommodate it. We're going to sear the outside of it on one side and then put it in the oven, roast it at 350 degrees to your desired temperature. Medium rare is the way I like it, but anybody can eat it any way they like. So let's go put it in the oven. Okay, our lamb has been in the oven for the length of time that we like it for. In this case, about an hour and a half, close to 2 hours. And what we're going to do is we're serving it today with pearl tomatoes, which are Maine's best beauties. They're grown in Maine. And I've stuffed them with some cheese and some mint. Really, really nice. And then a side of lyonnaise potatoes, or potatoes made with caramelized onions that are great. So why don't we take a look and see where we stand and how we're doing. Very nice. Our tomatoes. Potatoes. And finally our lamb. That thing came out gorgeous. So for our lamb, what you're going to notice is the net is still on it. It's done really, really well. It's beautiful in the oven. We're going to take it. We're going to take the net off and we're going to slice it. And in the interests of you guys getting to see what it looks like the best, we're going to go ahead and slice it in the middle. Now when you roast the leg of lamb, about the end quarter on each end is going to be the most well done. The very center is going to be the least well done. So for those that like it more rare, start in the center. For those that like it a little more well done, you'll start on the ends. So what we'll do is you just find the end of your net and you're going to cut the net off. And it should just come right off. If you have a running butcher's knot, if you guys tied a knot, then at this point you would just take that knot off. And very carefully unnet the entire leg of lamb. Then what we'll do is we'll do a cut right in the middle so you can see it. And that's what you end up with. That is a very beautiful piece of lamb. What we're going to do is we're going to serve it with our tomatoes. These tomatoes are the Maine's Beauties. We'll put 4 of those on there. They've been drizzled with a little bit of artisan olive oil, which is a single press olive oil out of Italy, and also our lyonnaise potato. The potato has been layered with caramelized onions, a little bit of cheese, and a couple of slices should be just what we want. 1. 2. That's beautiful. And that is our Italian stuffed lamb with stuffed cherry tomatoes and lyonnaise potatoes. They'll be fabulous. Easy recipes, easy to do.